Alright, I'm supposed to be like Preston Pence here. Excuse me, Kamala Harris. Kamala. It's Madam Vice President Camellia. I'm supposed to say Kamala. Now, Kamala, if I have these issues with those companies, the American Water, York Water, Essential Utilities, American State Water Company, Middlesex Water Company, XM, and Primo Water Corporations. Now, in this view, I don't get the right to ask that the valuation in Napa County when 76.9 million, 3 billion, 5 billion, 15 billion. York Corporation is at 586.3 million in revenue. Now 5.8 is 1.3 because you actually physically hold the production facility. Now, what happens at the production facility? Say two docks, a hydro turbine with a solar panel on top, and then you put a chain in between the solar panel and the hydro turbine, and ask that the leasing rights. I don't get that right in any city, county, or state park, or lake, or ocean. That's not Department of Interior, EPA, Federal Emergency Management. In view of fire-wise, that's not an executive order question, the deed of convenience. If the deed of trust is, you are now homeless. My 278542, my trade association isn't the municipalities in view of my revenue. Now, if I have a historical building and I own that on a state park or on a county park, I can't get free fishing on the one side of the dock and electrical on the other. Now, when this is wanted to American States Water Company, California-based provider of water electricity for customers in the state. Now, AWR is a corporation. Now, mind you, Napa County hasn't introduced me to any of these people. None of these corporations, none of these companies, none of the people have introduced it. You would argue that American States Water, or AWR, isn't the underwriting of it. Now, the stock at that is almost $90. $97.50 isn't about the same capital application. Now, here is the best part. A 67 to 85 valuation isn't correct. Now, why would this be in wonderment compared to... You're not supposed to be asking that the public utility in the view of Sonoma is a name change or a property indemnity hedge in view of the application in Michigan via the EPA or the Water Resource Board based on the valuation. Now, if you have an 18 William E. Preston, now that's not Preston Gates, Preston Bush, okay, filing against you in antitrust. Now, if you notice at Hanover v. Moore, you had antitrust as well, and K&L. Now, I don't get this right to ask these questions based on land utility, rezoning questions, invoices to wetland via the Water Resource Board, or Colorado River Basin. Now, if this is my Belvins and my Mesa Vieja, Arizona, what happens in Tijuana? What about that in San Diego? What about the islands outside of San Diego? What about it in Guam? We are Preston Packing. We see open radio in the Kamala. Or let's just remember how Bradley teaches. You remember James Michael and him. Now, this wouldn't be here the antitrust filing against the state. But we won't ask this to instead of where it's still supposed to be illegal immigrant Keegan, legal immigrant Sotomayor, like they teach. You know, it's J.K. Butterworth, we understand that. But the Preston Pence, you know, in America, great again, we stupid in the first place. Now, we understand hydro turbines as this capability. We can't put a solar panel on top of it and ask that be a chain and just be stagnant. That means fishing on one dock, another thing. In the husbandry, that's not asking a new woman, but the fish be a guy or a girl. But that's not that right in the view of the state of the donation. Now, this isn't the property indemnity clause like mineral rights. This isn't the questions when you're asking like that Cahill do, and you're saying instead of measure L, measure Q, you're asking it in the validity. There's some more. Now, I don't get these type of questions, the brain scan of the rest of the security agents during the invasion. Now, that's not asking the Association of Municipalities, the cities, or the counties. Now, when this is just wondered a little bit, Tijuana, San Diego, and say off of Texas, but I don't get that as an inlet one. Where I wonder it though professionally, in Michigan via the EPA, under Lopez via the U.S., is that am I asking exploratory land mineral rights based on country designation under UN orders? Now, I'm able to create electrical fence. I now justify my Hatch-Brown Act and view my Immigration Act. But I wouldn't be challenging that in the defense spending bill, would I? But that is not the United States military. United States Water Military Service Group. Now, that military service group isn't my issue request. Haiti. Could that be a country, a city? Or a country or state? Guam. Samoa Island. Tijuana as a country. What about Puerto Rico? Now, if that means that you're asking this to the military contract in view of service, that GS7 to GS7 with the 7 to the GS7 with the 9, a Health and Human Service Questions, National Institute of Health, and a patent for a Mach 16 to Mach 22 Intercontinental ICBM isn't good enough with 6 bachelors and a master's, let alone asking Federal Reserve questions and consulting. Now, here is the question, the specific question, Miss Keegan. If I have a mineral right, the clause of the state, plain sight, my plain sight isn't my indemnity pre and post the burning. Your Honor, who's Haley and Gilliam? Why does Haley and Gilliam have longitude and latitude of acre square footage and the monkeypox outbreak in what states and the death total wonderment and open Azure forms or webcast Zoom calls? But according to Preston Pants, not good enough. Now those archive things are issues. Now, Marilyn, another question, and so more. If the archive shows, hey, I'm turning on the UN, I'm turning on the C-SPAN, and asking the EDX classes on mechanical engineering, and then using the patent database on how to make, through different exploratory patents, an atomic nuclear warhead. When do I get that right instead of the antitrust, but to be able to file on my own? When I'm asking an OMB 0645 based on federal identification of 4318190, the Office of the Library does not do. Now, when this is calling Jimmy and saying, I'm asking you directly, or the American Water Military Service Group, I can't ever ask, Marcus, you're not good enough to ask Jimmy to die in office, let alone sit on that board. You're not good enough, Miss Barrett, when this is wondered in tendinitis research and ADA via the Healthcare Act. What about if this was ever asking standard output efficiency during the fire, even vacuum pumping salt water, and asking that as a pump storage question, property damage? Hey, I have a lake, I have a river. I don't give a damn if I'm violating my ecological. Lake Hennessy, Lake Berryessa, asked that in Rosa. Now, how long that takes to make that pumping facility? Shouldn't that be a standard question to our National Guard, let alone our Federal Emergency Management or Department of Interior? I should be able to ask, let's say, a trade union of 16 mechanical engineers how long it makes a pumping station that produces X amount of gallons per hour, right? And now, if that's that wonderment, I should be able to ask that even to salt water. That's not the questions in Trump v. the Water Resource Board. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. In 2018, Napa County, 76.9 million, won 3 billion, won 5 billion, won 15 billion. American States Water Company is worth 3.2. Middlesex Water Company is 1.82. Exelon is 15.8. Primo Water is 2.3. American Water Works is 28.5. Wouldn't that be like asking what the value of third world countries' water is? What about it to Tijuana to electrical fence? Now, what about that being in 30 years we've never voted for a new state? Now, we won't ask that in the mineral. The mineral is not the state. What about at the UN if that's a countryhood in Tijuana? Your Honor, now you understand how we get a presidential assassination.